Hi, this is Vicki. Today I want to show you how I made this super easy 5" by 3" treat bag. It was made using some decorator paper and a few little scraps of cardstock and ribbon. Super easy to make, can be made in under 5 minutes, not a whole lot of cutting or scoring, and a really fun project that you can do to use up extra papers that you might have from a paper stack or a pad that you haven't used up, or even scraps left from a project. So let me show you how I did this. To create your treat bag, you will need to begin with a sheet of decorator paper. I recommend decorator paper rather than cardstock because it's slightly lighter in weight, although lightweight cardstock will also work. This piece of paper is 10½ inches long by 8½ inches, and I have it laid on top of my scoring tool because I'm going to begin by scoring my paper. Now, if you're using a metal stylus to score your paper, you'll notice that the ball on one end is slightly smaller than the other. You'll want to use the larger ball to prevent damaging your paper. You're going to score your paper at 2 inches, 5 inches, 7 inches, and 10 inches along the long side of the paper. Then you're going to turn your paper. This is the 8½ inch direction, and you're going to score it 2 inches and 7 inches. And now we're done with our scoring tool, so I'm going to remove that. Now you'll need a pair of paper snips or good quality scissors, and what you're going to notice is that you have a 1/2 inch section. It's probably easiest to see if I turn my paper over. You have a 1/2 inch section that's scored. It's a little section on one end, and then you have 4 wider sections, and then at the top and the bottom you'll have one side that has a 2 inch wide section and the other side that only has a 1½ inch wide section. It's going to be important to remember where these are when we're cutting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin by cutting off the 1/2 inch wide section on both ends of the cardstock. And so I'm just cutting up to the 1/2 inch line and then across to the end. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other end. I'm going to cut those sections completely off and discard them. Okay. Now, this is the 2 inch wide side. This is the 1½ inch wide side. On the 2 inch wide side, I am going to cut all of the sections off except the one nearest the 1/2 inch section. So I'm just going to cut along this score line and cut all those little 2 inch wide sections off, but I'm going to leave one. Let me discard that. And then on the side where it's 1½ inches, so from this line to the edge of the paper is 1½ inches, I'm going to cut up to that 1½ inch line along all of the score lines. And this is all of the cutting that we will do. So I'm going to turn my paper over. Actually, I'm going to turn it back over, and I'm going to fold along all of the score lines. And this is where you'd want to use your bone folder. Let me grab one to get nice tight creases. One more. Now, there's, and the one flap on the end, a little tiny flap. It's a 1/2 inch wide. Now this 1/2 inch wide flap here is going to actually be our glue tab. So I'm going to bring in my adhesive and I'm going to apply a line of adhesive along this edge. Now, I am just using a mono adhesive, but I do recommend, if you plan to handle this bag a lot, to use something like sticky strip or maybe your ATG tape. Now, this is how I find it easiest to fold the bag. With my glue tab, my strip folded over with the adhesive on it, then I'm going to take, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. I'm going to fold at that halfway point, so along the second section, and I'm actually going to turn this so I can see it, and I'm going to line up my edges best I can and just press them down. Now when I fold that up, I will have my bag shape. Now, on the end, I'm going to fold the 2 smaller flaps in. And what you have to remember is that this is now going to be the front of my bag. This flap, this 2-inch wide flap at the top, is actually going to flip over, but this is the back of my bag. So I'm going to fold those smaller flaps in, then I'm going to fold the back flap in. And while I have my bag laying on the table, the only other place I need to apply adhesive is right along the edge of the front flap. And when I fold that over and press it in place, you will see that I have a nice finished edge on the front of my bag. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bag, and the sides are just straight, there's no markings, and I'm just going to stick my finger in the middle and kind of squeeze it in, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And there's no perfect way to do this, so I've kind of squeezed it in, and that's what it looks like on the side. Pinched it in over here, and I'm going to fold that flap over, and that is essentially my bag shape. So there's it is from the front, and from the side it stands alone. And I'm actually going to now begin to decorate my bag. So what I have done to decorate my bag is I just took a scrap of vanilla colored cardstock and I stamped a Cupid image. You could use any image that goes with the color of cardstock or paper that you're using. And I'm using a 1 3/8 inch circle punch. And I'm going to punch out my Cupid image. I'm going to set that down. And I have 2 sheets of coordinating color cardstock. I have a green and a pink because those are the colors that are in my paper. This one is cut at 3 inches wide and 1.5 inches. And this one is cut at 3 inches wide by 1 inch. And I'm actually going to just go ahead and layer those together. And I'm just lining up the 3-inch long edge of both pieces, so you'll see my one piece is wider than the other. And then what I'm going to use is I'm going to use a border punch. It just happens to be one that I have. It's the Stampin' Up! Scallop border punch, but any border punch that you like would work just fine. And I'm just punching along the long edge. And I'm going to get rid of my scrap there, set my punch aside. So now I have a piece that has 2 colors on it. I'm going to apply adhesive close to the top edge of that on the front side, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my bag back and I'm going to apply that so that I have a little bit of the green showing and I have the pink showing. So this is the front of my bag now. It has a little green stripe and a pink scallop. And I'm going to take this piece here up, and let me grab another scrap behind me. Hold on just a second. Okay. This is a scrap of the pink color cardstock that I used to create that ruffled border, and I'm just going to use my scalloped circle punch and punch out a piece. And I'm actually going to take a dimensional or a piece of foam tape. If you choose to just tape it down, that's fine too. And I'm going to apply my little Cupid. And I'm going to take my bag back. Now for this, I like to apply adhesive just to the top so that it still opens and closes freely. So I'm going to be mindful that this is the top part of my Cupid. I'm going to go ahead and apply some adhesive to that. Make sure it's not sticking out. I'm going to bring my bag back. And I'm just going to stick that on my bag. And then the only other thing I'm going to do is I have a length of ribbon here. This just happens to be an inexpensive cream colored ribbon. And I'm just going to put that around my bag and tie a pretty bow. Now, you could punch holes in the top of this bag and feed the ribbon through. That's very pretty too. But I just like to tie it around the top, and it just slides easily on and off. Whoops. Of course, it's always easier to tie a bow when you don't have a band-aid on your finger or you're not on the camera. So there we go. And I'm going to bring my scissors over here.